Welcome UniVerse customer. This YouTube video is to explain about how to use U2 JDBC Client to work with UniVerse. In this video description field, I put a lot of the link to talking about how U2 JDBC work with UniVerse. Also include a lot of example so you can test by yourself to create your environment to know how JDBC client work. So I have a couple topics in this YouTube video. The first one is talking about UniVerse account schema. On UniVerse, they have two types of schema. It's dynamic normalization, another is regular schema. I already have one YouTube video, so you can look at all the details. Second, talking about U2 JDBC client driver. So normally when you install the U2 client, you will get the JDBC driver. For right now, JDBC driver will be two files. One is called sjob.zip file, another called unijdbc.job. Sometimes you only on system allow only job files, so basically you can rename sjob.zip become sjob.job. On the next release, we will combine to this file become one single JDBC job file. So when you have a driver on Unix Windows, you just need the driver. Then you can define using the class path to find your driver on your system. Normally, I set up in the system environment variable. On the Unix, you need to set up the environment variable called class path uppercase. You also can, without class path, you can use in Java space -cp option to specify which Java driver you will want to use your Java JDBC client application. Next topic, talking about JDBC connection. Most of two ways to make a JDBC connection. One is using the driver manager, using the URL connection. Actually, it's JDBC 1.0 spec. That's the most common way to use a JDBC connection. Another way using a data source object is based on the JDBC 2.0 spec. So some of the package or software required to using data source objects. For example, like a Tomcat server or using the data source object. The next is the main topics for JDBC function. JDBC function, most of the two type of categories. One is called metadata, a function to get all the schema information. Another major function like the query, insert, update, delete, some JDBC functions. So I have a lot of example to explain it, how to use it. When you have a problem, you might be want to turn on the logging, you want to turn on the UniVerse UCI server, or you turn on the U2 JDBC client login. So on the database, pretty simple. I already have some other YouTube video, so you can look at more detail. Another, it's the pretty simple for the regular UniVerse account. You just want to use in the file, become the table. You can run hs.admin tool to activate. By default, you will create a virtual called UVSCCT schema for dynamic normalization. If you're using global SQL catalog space, then you can run the command to create a schema. You can create a table. Most of the function you can see inside a folder called SQL catalog, and you can list UV schema, list user and other global catalog file. So for the driver, I already mentioned about, basically you just need to download the driver and set up your environment. Then you can use, and for the example on the Unix, you just basically, you can Java space -cp and specify the driver on the folder and run your XYZ application. Then you will work without any environment setting. So next, talking about the syntax, JDBC connection driver syntax. So that's the example. Basically, you just need to specify using the class of that for name, and then we're using the com.is.u2.jdbc.uniJDBC driver. That is the class name, and also set up the URL. They have a syntax. You can look at the detail in the JDBC menu. Basically, they're all standard in the all other database, all the same kind of syntax. Then you can using driver manager to create a connection. And the second connection way using the data source object. So they're just the syntax. You can look at all my example to get the detail, or pretty simple like a JDBC xlog.java file. You can set up your connection and you just run it. You can see how you make it work to make a U2 JDBC connection to UniVerse. So next is talking about database metadata, special we call it schema. In the U2 JDBC driver version, we store all the information inside the metadata database. So they have a couple of functions like a major version, minor version, and you can get a driver version or JDBC major version compliance. So that's a simple program called JDBC version.java file. So you can look at all the syntax. And next is the most important thing. If you want to work with the UniVerse schema, so you will need using the object database, metadatabase object to get all the information you need. Most common, you will need the three types of function. One is get a schema. I provided two programs to get this, how you can get the schema. One way is the standard way to using the metadatabase object, using the function to get a schema or get schema. Basically called JD. I put an example called JDBC get schema.java file. Java file. Also, actually behind the thing, actually you can call the subroutine using return result set. I create another program called JDBC get schema rs.java file, and also get the same information. And the other, like if you want to get all the table from the schema, or you want to get the specific the column name from the particular table, I also have an example called JDBC schema column.java file. So you can order get the column name, data type, size, all the more detail for each column information. The next is major function for customer use. I provide a very two useful Java JDBC program. First one is called JDBC query.java. So all provide all the different way to query your data, your table. Include the SQL query, how can you use in the create statement or prepare statement and execute, and you get the result set back. The second is just using updated. Because I want to more variety to get the different data type to regarding to the update. So I using the sample file called course. Course file already in the UniVerse hs.service account. So you basically must be connected there. All the syntax inside the course file provide a string, integer, date, and time. So you can get the syntax how you work with a UniVerse different data type. Inside the program will be include insert, select, update, delete. This module major JDBC function will be used. So the sample program will JDBC update x.java file. So another very useful function you can call a subroutine to get the result set back, or you get a parameter back. Most other database may be called procedure or store procedure, but on UniVerse actually it's the same thing we call a subroutine. So inside the demo, I created called get called customer subroutine. Inside this subroutine, actually I demo two things. One is you want to read the calls file to get the call ID, first name, last name, and you read the file and return multiple column back, and you can read it and send back, put it on the parameter actors two. First one, you provide a call ID, and you get the record information, and put it is called call_info. The second example, actually, I want to generate like a JSON type information. Then you can use an UniVerse command to list to create a JSON content. And after you running SQL command and return the data back to the parameter 2. So I will show you later in my demo. So after you have some info running the JDBC application, you might have some problem. Then you want to know what's going on the client side or server side. For the JDBC client login, pretty simple. They have two ways to turn on the login. One is put on the URL and set up the two parameter. One is called trace label. Actually, is 0 to 5. Maximum number is 5. They have detail for each label in the JDBC menu. Another is called trace file. You can specify particular in the temp folder or TMP folder. It gives you the specify the debugging log file name. The second way is if you're working on the connection is data source object. Basically, you just need to add two property in the data source object, same thing called trace label or trace file. On the server side, it's very important. Sometimes relate to UniVerse server. Then you can create empty file called trace, uppercase, lowercase UCI in the UV folder. On the window, make sure the name is not a trace UCI.txt. Must be without .txt extension. And for the log file, regular Unix is put default on the /tmp. Maybe switch to other folder, so you can look at your UniVerse config setting to find out where your temporary folder. On Windows side, by default will be U2 UV10. You also can switch to other temporary folder. So you might have some other topics like a call subroutine, getting back the result set, or you might be you want to update MultiValue data, how to update it, and you want to using the connection pooling or using SSL with JDBC. I already have a multiple YouTube video to explain it, and also include all the example you need, so you can easy to learn it. So next, I will explain one by one to give you the demo how to work with UniVerse. The first, I want to using this one, so called hs.sales. So on this one, I already created schema called H-service schema. So on the hs.service, so you can list UV users. So let's the user, before you can create schema, the user login must be defined in the UV_user. The first user create is a system administrator. So after you create it, then you can create a schema using the create schema. After schema created, you can find out which schema already created. For my system, it's called Edge Service. So that's the schema I have only. And the first one is the system default, and I also actually have another schema already created. So let's just for SQL catalog schema. But if you using dynamic normalization, and you need to log to edges.mn and edges.mn tool. You can run it. They have multiple. So for my system, I have already a lot of account already activated for ODBC for JDBC. So you can use in function option 3 to activate, deactivate. So they have multiple options there. I also have another YouTube video to explain each function how it works. So next we'll be talking about the JDBC client. So when you install U2 client JDBC, so you will see I will show you they already installed this folder, and they have a multiple JDBC client, but major is h.zip file, and also have called UniJDBC.jar file. So you can copy this file on a Windows, Unix, any folder you need. So inside this, you can set up the class path or using -cp option to working with your Java application. The next, talking about JDBC connection. So first one I want to show you is called JDBC Connect. So inside the JDBC Connect are pretty simple. So I will using the JDBC using the URL. So I will show you the JDBC connection syntax. The JDBC Connect is first one I like to show you. So that's the JDBC connection. The first part will get all the connection information. The major thing is here. Actually, it's too important to get a connection. So basically, let's for class for name to get the setup the U2 JDBC driver, and you get the connection using the driver manager. So I will run the program to show you how it works. So basically, Java, you need to. I already have a class path setting, so I don't need to set up a -cp option. So basically, just JDBC connect. So I can connect UniData and UniVerse. Right now, I just want to show you very simple connect to UniVerse. I connect to my local machine, username, password, connect to hs.sales. So first, it will give you all the Java database information. For right now, I'm running UniVerse 12.1.1 and using the driver 2.161 driver. I can connect to a different table. Right now, I connect to simple state file. So I basically very simple to retrieve all the data, auto data from the state file to get the file record only. So let's just use in the first way to make a connection. The second way I will show you pretty quick. The next one, I want to show you is called JDBC JDBC XDS dialog. So that's just the second one, JDBC X dialog. That's the syntax. That's more simple. So this one, you just create called data source object, UniJDBC data source object, and set up all the property. Then you just from the data source object and to get the connection. So that's just the way to make a connection on the second method. So I will show you one Java JDBCX DS dialog. So you see section is connected. After section connected, you can do whatever select, up insert, update, delete. And inside the program, this program also show you how to turn on the server log, turn on the U2 JDBC client logging. You can add the property, two property to get the log file. The next I will show you is talking about JDBC database metadata file. So data objects are first most important thing. I like to get the schema information. So inside the schema, so I want to show you is the schema. So first one, I want to get the JDBC schema. So first one is pretty simple. You make a connection, and you can use it either way, using the URL or data source object to get the connection. After connection is created, basically you just need to create a get metadata. From metadata, you just can get the schemas, and you can get the result set. And after you get it, by default, this account does not have a create schema, you just create a UVSCCT to get the schema back. So I'll show you JAVA, just JDBC get schema. So you will see this one, you will by default you will return back a virtual schema name called UVSCCT. Actually, this account just for dynamic normalization. Another ways you can use in record set. So I like to show you another way to get the schema. Basically, it's same thing without using the meta database, using data source object. So you can using call this particular subroutine with the particular parameter, and also using a regular call subroutine function to get the callable statement. Then you can execute to get the result set back. Or you will get the same result, just like a get schema function. So I will show you. Let's just second way to get the call the subroutine. You can get the same schema information back using the second way. That's a two way to get the data back. Then next we're talking about the schema table. So let's just schema table connection is the same. So idea is to get the same database, but you get the object. Then you want to get the table from particular account. So for here, I'll connect to for this sample, I'll connect HS.sales. I will show you. You just the syntax get the table. So next, I will show you. Get let's switch a table. So you will see, let's just basically connect to HS.sales. So by default, you will see the full table, customer underscore order, product, and state. So let's just, when you connect to HS.sales, you should see by default get the full table name back. And next, if you using a column, then you need to specify which column you want to return it. So for my example, you just get the customer, get column. So next you run the schema column. So you will get each column from the customer table. So next, I will try to show you it's very powerful, useful function called JDBC query. So JDBC query, I'll show you this one. So this example, actually I combine all the example you need, not just one simple query. So most function, when you make a connection, then I want to return, get the, for example, this is get connect to HS.sales, then get the data from customer file, customer table. So get the customer ID, first name, last name. So I can put the where, first name equal Betty. So you can using SQL query. Let's just most common customer were using this way to return the result set and get the return data back. It can be multiple data. And second way, you can using the prepare statement, using same thing using SQL query, and actually you can get the same result back. That's the method 2. The third one, if you want to using prepare statement, then you can use in the execute function. So sometimes if you have binding parameter, even using the query, you can specify where for example, I show you this one, first name equal question mark. Then you can use in the binding parameter using the set string, and you can get the same result back. So next, I will show you. So for JDBC query. So I already show you 3 different ways to get the result back. Actually, you get the same result back. First one, you can create a statement. Then you can SQL query. Then second time is just prepare statement. Then SQL query. Then or the third way you can the execute function. The next one I will show you is execute. Update the data. So for the update, I like to get the more complicated case. So I using a course a file. So inside the course file, I'll show you. You can log to H service and just list x course. So let's just the dictionary. And if you look at the sample file course, that's the first record called 101. So actually, I will using the program to insert, update, delete, but I using the 999. So make it a little bit complicated. So to show you each function you will need the example code. So I using the JDBCX. So that's all the syntax you need, and you will see all the different type. So basically I insert the 999 records, then I can query. You will see a little bit complicated because I use all the different data type, and then I can update it, then I can delete it. So here's is how it works. Java JDBC update X. So you will see I insert this function. Then after I insert, I specify the core ID will be 999. Then you will see the insert the record successful. Then I can update it, just update the version, and the call minutes became 2x, and the call minute will be 15 from 9 became the 15. Then version 1x became 2x. So let's just give you the whole example how you work with the JDBC, work with the UniVerse table. You can insert, update, delete. So next, just try to demo another function called subroutine. Subroutine actually is most common way to you can return the data back. So the first one I will show you is the function called get customer. So get customer, you will see the subroutine have 3 parameters. The first parameter is called ID. Then you can return the, you can read the file and just get the first name, last name back and put it in the call info. Another way I will show you, if someone want to deal with the JSON file, so you can use another way to create a JSON output. And after you get a JSON output, then you can handle by your JDBC client. So here's it's just the sample code. So here's basically pretty simple. So first, you just need to call the subroutine using a callable statement, using the prepare call, and to set up the which ID. Right now I hard coded is 1001, and define all the output is a string varchar type. Then you can get the information for the call info. That's the first part, the demo to call the subroutine. Then second part is to show you can use in Java a JSON function to retrieve particular field you need to handle by your JDBC application. So I'll show you very quick. So basically, you can run just call JDBC. So you can UniVerse localhost. Connect to HS.service. So the output, first one, you will see let's output for customer. I hard coded call ID will be 1001. The first name and also return the JSON. Then this syntax is regarding to after you, the first part is come from subroutine, the parameter 2 and parameter 3. Then this part is come from JDBC client to process your JSON data. You can return particular field name using the JSON function to return the particular like the call ID, customer number, first name, and last name. So let's just wait to call the JDBC subroutine. So the other example, you can do the similar thing to call the result set. I also have an example to show you. The next, talking about client, login client, I already mentioned about basically if you want to turn on the client log, basically you just need to add the parameter in the URL or update add the two property in the data source object. Then you can turn on the login. I do have other YouTube video talking about all the client logging and server logging. You can review all my example. I also put all the link in the YouTube description field. You can download the example and you can link to other YouTube video. Maybe you want to see my all my YouTube video. So hopefully you can you might be want to subscribe my YouTube channel to see all my YouTube video I have. So you can learn all about U2 JDBC client to work with the UniVerse account.